Hey everybody, it's Jason with Parallel Reality coming back with you today with an article from PJ Media dated May 8th, and it says, the Biden administration lied about famine in Gaza, accusing Israel of a war crime it didn't commit. And we're going to go over yet something else that's being lied about now, because everyone seems to have come off some other talking points about Israel. Now they claim that there's a famine there, which there never was. And if you see any videos coming out from actual Gazans right now, taking videos and stuff from that area, they're all fat. Or a lot of them are, clearly not starving. Anyway, let's get into it. It says, it should be noted at the outset that the people of Gaza are suffering. They usually don't have enough to eat. Kids are going hungry, and the supply chain that brings food and necessities is non-existent. Well, you can blame them for the war that they started, and also for you can blame Hamas for taking all the food and then selling it back to the people at exorbitant prices. That's who gets the blame here. It's all on Hamas. It says, the fact that the situation doesn't meet the bureaucratic definition of starvation is immaterial when your child is looking at it with hunger in his eyes. However, that bureaucratic definition is a trigger that sets in motion the international aid machine, among other things. It may surprise you to find out that the international organization responsible for triggering this aid, the Integrated Food Security Phase Classification Global Initiative, or IPC, and that is a hell of a title, has never once declared that a famine exists in Gaza, even though the director of the United States Agency for International Development, or USAID, Samantha Power, declared to Congress in April 2024 that famine had begun in northern Gaza, which was a lie at that time. It's always been a lie. It says the IPC has specific criteria for declaring that a region is suffering from famine. Today, a famine is declared only when the IPC's data about a region shows that at least 20% of the households have run out of food, at least 30% of children are acutely malnourished, and 2 people out of every 10,000 are dying each day from starvation, reports Michael Ames of the Free Press. It says even for the Biden administration, Power's testimony was shockingly untrue. The IPC reports she cited was about possible outcomes in Gaza if the food situation didn't improve, not actual conditions on the ground. Even more incredibly, USAID issued its own report alleging that famine was underway in Gaza. The international organization that confirms the IPC's determination about famine is the Famine Review Committee, or FRC. Says the FRC heavily criticized the USAID report, saying its conclusions were unsupportable. Yeah, so it's like a certain changing of the climate thing, where it's like, this is going on, and then it's like, yeah, no, it's not. And people with like actual knowledge look at it, they're like, yeah, it's a bunch of BS, not happening. So it says, how did USAID get it so wrong besides its eagerness to accuse Israel of war crimes? Private sector food deliveries, such as trucks contracted to commercial warehouses, were left out of the agency's estimates of the total food supply in North Gaza. As a result, as much as 82% of the daily kilocalorie requirement in northern Gaza last April wasn't counted. That seems like a bit of an oversight. As in the same month, USAID's famine monitor also left out 940 metric tons, or 2 million pounds, of flour, sugar, salt, and yeast donated by the UN to bakeries in North Gaza, enough to make about 1,400 metric tons, or 3 million pounds of bread. So they left out, oh God, it's just ridiculous. As USAID left out the contributions of bakeries because the bread was sold rather than given away for free. Okay, that's a pretty stupid reason to leave it out. It says North Gaza actually had 10 times more food last April than USAID had claimed, writes Ames. Why wasn't this news? Yes, exactly. We need to make Israel look bad, so we're just going to intentionally misreport this. It says it wasn't because the UN officials shrugged off any information that didn't jibe with their anti-Israel narrative that Israel was committing genocide by deliberately bombing civilians and starving the residents of Gaza into submission, neither of which of those things is actually happening. Thus, many news organizations also suppressed the news that there may have been hunger in Gaza, but no famine. It says there were many hints that the headlines about famine in Gaza last year weren't quite right. On social media in March 2024, one food importer showcased a tractor-trailer full of a frozen chicken, and a chef in Rafah advertises plates of chicken and rice. One Gaza City restaurant showed off its racks of stuffed rotisserie chickens about 2 weeks after Power's testimony. Yeah, so and this one thing you got to understand is everything about the Palestinian cause is a lie. You need to start from the premise that if you hear anything coming out of there, basically it's a lie. Okay, and they always contradict themselves. They'll say they're being starved, and then something like this will come out where the guy's like, "Hey, I have a full kitchen full of stuff," and it's not just one dude; it's usually a bunch of people. It says journalists can peruse Or did I read this? Okay, yeah, I did. So journalists can peruse a social media archive of life in Gaza compiled by Jackie Peleg, an Israeli-British citizen who speaks Arabic and has been scraping YouTube, Telegram, TikTok, and other sites since 2018. Posting on X under the name Imshin, I think I've seen that name, says Peleg has gained nearly 80,000 followers who are curious about the conflict's complexities and skeptical of media narratives. Says the FRC released a follow-up had a kind of a hiccup there. So they released a follow-up report last June stating that available evidence does not indicate that famine is currently occurring in Gaza. As Nicholas Hahn, who designated the food insecurity classification system that became the IPC, explains why he developed a technical definition of famine. He told FRP's Ames that he wanted to take politics out of the word. So it says famine, like genocide, fascist, and dictator, is a word susceptible to rhetorical abuse. Jeez, aren't they? Says that can dilute and even invert its meaning. My goal is to take famine from being a rhetorical word and make it a technical term, Hahn told me. When the IPC uses the word famine now, we mean famine. So, okay, fair enough. Last few sentences here. It says the news media are not going to issue a correction or a clarification. Right, because they just want to make Israel look bad. That's basically it. It says the charge that Israel is deliberately starving Gazans and causing a famine will stick because of laziness or bias or anti-Semitism. Yep, those are kind of just your answers. It says, but anyone who cares to examine the record will know. Perhaps that's the best we can hope for. And then just a little disclaimer for PJ Media. So yeah, just wanted to put this article out there just to show that, like, yeah, the thing that news likes to say is happening over there is, once again, it's not a thing that's actually going on. So let me know what you think about this in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. Now I'll talk to you soon. Bye.